Hey everybody, welcome back to Science for Everyone with Tom Copeland. I'm Tom Copeland. Let's get down to science. So for today, we're talking about valence electrons and electron dot diagrams. So what's a valence electron? These are the electrons that are in the outer energy shells of an atom, and they participate in chemical bonds. So the valence electrons are super important because they help determine what type of bonds will form and what atoms will bond with what other elements, basically. So valence electrons are kind of the foundation of chemistry, if you think about it, because chemistry is just reactions, and the valence electrons are what make those reactions happen. Okay, so an electron dot diagram is just a way to show how many valence electrons an atom has. And that's really, really important because based off of the number of valence electrons, you can make predictions on how atoms are going to bond with other atoms, or if they even will bond with other atoms. This is important too. We're talking about the valence electrons and not all of the electrons. So if you remember the octet rule, which says that most atoms want to get to 8 valence electrons in order to be stable. So you will never have more than 8 dots, and these dots are the valence electrons. These dots represent the valence electrons. So this here is argon. It's a noble gas. It has 8 valence electrons, which tells you that this is a noble gas and that it is stable. But you will never draw more than 8 dots for your dot diagram. So that's an important rule to not forget. So let's look at the periodic table and how to find valence electrons by using the periodic table. It's actually pretty easy. This first column or group with hydrogen has 1 valence electron. The second group, starting with Be, has 2 valence electrons, all of them. And then we can skip the transition metals for right now. Then we get to boron, which is group 13. They have 3 valence electrons. Carbon has 4, nitrogen has 5, oxygen has 6, and the fluorine group has 7. Now, most noble gases have 8, but let's not forget helium. Since it's so small, it only needs 2 valence electrons to be stable. So if we look at this diagram over here, you can see the electron dots. So all the atoms in the first group have 1 valence electron. Then we have 2, and then we skip those transition metals, and you can see the dot diagrams for all of the elements. This is just another way to look at the valence electrons. I know it's a little blurry, but just notice how we've skipped the transition metals. Those are skipped on purpose because the transition metals can give away a transitional amount of valence electrons, and eventually we'll talk about that. Okay, so let's practice. This here is a hydrogen atom. It has 1 valence electron. It's going to have 1 dot for its dot diagram. Pretty simple, right? You're only looking at that last energy level. That's what's important. Now, if we look at barium, whoa, it has 56 electrons. But don't worry, we're only looking at the last energy level, which has 2. So barium is in the second group, and it has 2 valence electrons. Its dot diagram is going to have 2 dots. For the last one, let's look at neon. Neon's a noble gas. It has 8 valence electrons. It will have 8 dots for its dot diagram. So I hope this has been helpful for you and you understand valence electrons and how to draw a dot diagram. Until next time, keep on living science.